You know, right where ancient wisdom and brand new technology meet, there's this incredible movement taking shape. It's called Indigenous AI, and trust me, it's about way more than just code. It's about entire communities taking back control of their digital future. And this really brings us to a huge question. As AI gets more and more powerful, we have to ask ourselves, is this thing just a neutral tool for making things better? Or could it actually become a new kind of colonization, but digital? This isn't some far-off sci-fi question. It's a choice we're making right now with every piece of tech we build and use. And that choice, it really leads us down two totally different paths. On one side, you have a future that's being called data colonialism, and on the other, a future of digital self-determination for Indigenous peoples. So let's actually break down what that means. Data colonialism, that's the extractive model. It's when data, we're talking languages, sacred stories, traditional knowledge, is just taken without any consent. It ends up reinforcing old inequalities and makes communities dependent on tech from the outside. But then you have the complete opposite, digital self-determination. This is all about building from the inside out. It's where communities govern their own data, and they use it to make their culture stronger and build real, sustainable economic independence. The stakes here, they are incredibly high. Okay, so to really get what's going on here, you need to wrap your head around one core idea, this central metaphor. Data is the new land. And that single idea, it just changes everything. It reframes data not as some product to be bought and sold, but as a sovereign resource. This quote from Keone Mahalona, man, it just brings it all into focus. The same historical pattern of seizing land is happening all over again. But this time, the frontier is digital. The resource might look different, but that extractive dynamic, it's almost exactly the same. And this is where we get into this really important idea, data nullius. It's basically a modern-day version of the old colonial legal concept terra nullius, which meant nobody's land, and was used to justify taking land. The thinking today is that if data, like indigenous languages or cultural archives, is just floating around on the internet, well, it's in the public domain, so it's free for anyone to just scrape up and use to train their big AI models. The indigenous AI movement says no, absolutely not. So what this all boils down to, really, are two completely different ways of seeing the world. The dominant Western view tends to see data as a commodity, right? Something you mine, something you sell. It's just the exhaust from all our digital activity. But from an indigenous worldview, data is a relation. Just like land, it has a spirit, it comes with responsibilities, and it's seen as a living part of the community itself. But here's the thing. This movement isn't just about pushing back. Indigenous communities aren't just saying no to data colonialism. They are actively, brilliantly building the alternative, a sovereign code that runs on a whole new set of rules. And the absolute bedrock of this whole new approach is something called Indigenous data sovereignty. It's the fundamental right for Indigenous peoples to control their own data, from the moment it's created to how it's used. And this is a huge, huge shift. The goal isn't just to get access to technology that somebody else built, it's about having total control and authority over its design and its purpose. And look, this isn't just some theory, right? It's actually being built out with these really solid governance frameworks. You've got things like OCAP, which stands for Ownership, Control, Access, and Possession, that sets crystal clear standards for First Nations data. And then you've got these landmark documents like the Indigenous Protocol and AI Position Paper, which challenge us to think about AI differently, to build it not just for raw efficiency, but for kinship and for relationship. And this contrast just lays it out so clearly. The standard tech approach uses these FAIR principles on the left. They're all about the data, making it findable, reusable. But the Indigenous-led care principles on the right, they're people-centric. They add these crucial layers, like ensuring collective benefit for the community, giving the community authority to control, and a deep sense of responsibility. It's all about making sure the data actually serves the people it belongs to. And like I said, this isn't just about principles and frameworks. All of this is fueling a really vibrant new Indigenous economy. Sovereign AI is literally becoming an engine for innovation and for growth. I mean, the vision here is just massive. Leaders are aiming for a $100 billion Indigenous economy in Canada. That's not just a big number, that's a society-transforming number. And they see sovereign AI as one of the key accelerators to get them there. So, take Indigenomics AI, for example. It's a platform that's making the Indigenous economy visible and investable for the first time. But look at how they're doing it. They're partnering with a huge company, TELUS, to get access to that top-tier computing power, but they've structured it in a way that lets them keep total control over their data. It's sovereignty in action. Then you've got a company like comma.ai. They're tackling one of the biggest problems with mainstream chatbots, the fact that they just make stuff up, they hallucinate. Comma.ai builds what they call culturally safe AI. It uses knowledge graphs so that the information it gives you is accurate and verified. For cultural organizations, for indigenous businesses, that is absolutely critical. And what's so smart is that the ecosystem is also building its own talent pipeline. Check out Plato, the largest indigenous-owned tech services firm in Canada. They use this brilliant train and employ model. They bring the training and the jobs right into indigenous communities, which creates careers and completely reverses that old brain drain problem. Okay, and this is maybe one of the most game-changing parts. Even the money is being reinvented. Raven Indigenous Capital Partners is the first indigenous-led venture capital firm in North America. They provide what they call patient capital, and they measure their success not just in dollars and cents, but in positive community impact. They are literally redesigning how investment works so that it aligns with indigenous values. So when you put all of this together, the governance, the businesses, the funding, it all points to this much bigger, much more hopeful vision. It's a vision of moving away from this extractive AI model and toward one that actually generates positive relationships and, well, a future of abundance. And one of the key ideas, one of the guiding principles for building this future is this incredible Mi'kmaq concept of two-eyed seeing. The idea is that you learn to see from one eye with all the strengths of indigenous knowledge and from the other eye with all the strengths of Western science. It's not about picking one, it's about using both together to see the world more clearly and more completely. And this isn't just a beautiful idea. Check out how it works in the real world. A company called Polarctic models ocean conditions in the Arctic. They combine the deep, generations-long knowledge of Inuit elders with modern satellite data. And the result? They create climate and navigation tools that are way, way better than what either system could have made on its own. This is solving life and death problems. So what this all leads to is this really profound vision of what they call abundant intelligences. Instead of one single dominant AI just trying to optimize for human productivity, imagine a world with many different kinds of intelligences. Imagine AIs that are designed for the flourishing of all life, that integrate the intelligence of the land and the oceans. It's a move away from something just artificial and towards something that's deeply relational. And that really leaves us with this one big, provocative thought. The ideas that are powering indigenous AI, they're not just for indigenous communities. They're a challenge to the entire tech industry, a challenge to every single one of us. What would actually change if every piece of technology we built was designed with a deep responsibility to the next 7 generations? Just think about that. What kind of world would we create?